storage is technically a federally bonded warehouse.
Okay, any more questions for the ARB? You guys satisfied at this point? You're going to obviously get to see this again. Any more questions from the planning board at this point? Then let's hear what our public has to say. Gentlemen, you can have a seat. And is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come up and speak either for or against the application? Now's the time. So, sir, please come forward. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for being patient. State your name and address and tell us what's on your mind.
My name is Neal Starkman. I live at 193 Bay Avenue in Patchogue. My wife and I own a home on Amity Street, directly across the street from 147 West. I've owned that house for approximately 30 years. We have the same family living in that home for 20 years. It's a single family living in a beautifully kept single family home, and we love them and we want to keep them happy, and this is probably the reason that I'm here. And I come as a skeptic. I've lived across 147 West for all these years, and we've seen some blight is a good word for it. And I don't know, am I allowed to discuss with the applicants too?
Just
having a discussion,
and they'll get their opportunity to. We'll take from what you say and bring them back up.
Fantastic. I prepared something. I've tried to streamline it. You've addressed many of the statements I'd like to make. The applicant has addressed several things also. But before I get into my discussion, I do want to talk about a couple of things that did come out in the presentation. We talked about the tasting room being hours of Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I believe they taught Thursday and Friday evening, 10 a.m. through 11 on Saturday, and 12 to 4 on Sunday. That's an entire weekend for somebody living in a house directly across the street from them. I heard mention, I believe it was your pre-discussion, you talked about 27 parking stalls there. In 2 years' time, he mentioned that there's going to be 20 employees. He talked about a tasting room that right now he sees trickling in of 10 to 20 people, but in 2 years it went to 20 to 40 people, plus we have an outdoor patio, and we know that if a bachelor or a bachelorette party comes in, and that could easily turn into 100 people, and we're not turning people away at that point. There's no parking, and I'll get into that in my discussion with previous experience at this property. We talked about having a tasting room, but really what came out is now we have a bar and a restaurant. We know what we're having now. We're talking about a small tasting room. We don't know what this is going to morph into. And the problem that I have, and it really is a village issue, is the village seems to have a problem enforcing stipulations that have been in place by these type of agreements or applications. We start with one thing, these businesses grow, we appreciate that, but at the same time, there's no follow-up and there's no enforcement. And now we're having another bar and restaurant directly across the street from my house. And I see that being a problem. You didn't talk about restrooms. So when this jumps to 100 people, are there restrooms available for 100 people drinking liquor?
Well, it can't jump to 100 people. If it does, that's an enforcement issue.
Exactly.
As you just said.
And we will address that.
I mean, we can only deal with what is proposed to us, and we can only restrict what we can restrict. If it morphs to something that's not supposed to be, then it's not our purview to do that or rein it in. So we only have what's before us. So I appreciate what you're saying.
I understand. I understand.
But what we restricted to, we've restricted it to.
Okay.
And if it were to morph to 100 people, we've got a major issue.
I agree.
A major problem.
I agree.